After 5 years in business, 10 years helping people build businesses, and 20 years helping people achieve their financial goals, I've made plenty of mistakes. Mistakes that taught me lessons you can't learn in a classroom. So today I'm opening up about my biggest challenges and the lessons I learned and how you can avoid making these same missteps. Mistake number 1, assuming my team would care as much as I do. So I used to believe my team would be as invested in me as my business as I would. I also believed that I needed a huge team to help me grow. I'd assumed they'd take the initiative, they'd solve problems and go over and beyond. But here's the truth. No one will care about your business as much as you do. It's a hard truth, but it's one you gotta hear. So some hires were just looking to get paid and didn't actually put in the same level of care. So I kept thinking the way to be successful was I had to build and grow a really big team. So a massive mistake that I made in about my 3rd year is I hired a whole bunch of people to do lots of different things, and I didn't have any clear direction on what they needed to do. So I just ended up paying them every single week to just spin the wheels and not actually move the needle. So nothing was really getting done, but I was paying a lot of money to a lot of different people to do work that I actually didn't end up liking at all. So then I had to end up redoing all the work. And what happened here is I thought that I needed a big team to be successful, but what was actually under the surface for me is I was just scared to show up. And so I thought if I had other people do it, it would be easier and they could just show up, and then if there was a mistake, it would be their fault, not mine. But what I found with this is I was at a level of growth in my business where I did have to show up differently, and it scared me. And I, instead of approaching it and continuing to show up more and more in my business, I hid within my business because I had to manage all of these people in the business to do work that they didn't actually end up doing. And so a huge component of this and how to actually fix it before you go and hire people. If you've already hired people, this still applies to you. So what's going to be key for you is you want to actually set clear expectations. And this is where a detailed SOP will come in handy. Now, I've done many videos on what an SOP is, so if you need reference to that, watch any of the videos, the links will be down below. So an SOP, and what I always say to people, to clients who come to me and they're like, I want to scale of 6 to 7 to 8 figures. I'm like, this is your business. Fundamentally, this is your business, and it's as successful as it is because you have built it, and you've built it your way, in the way that works and resonates with your audience and clients. So what happens is when you start to bring other people on, they do it their way unless you show them your way. And that's where an SOP comes in, because you can show them the way that you've found it works for your business and help and train them on that process. So it's still your business, it's still your business model, it's still the way that you connect with people, but you're giving them the metrics on how to actually approach it. Instead of hiring somebody and go, I just need this done, what happens with that is they can do it their way, which might take 4 times the amount of time. And you might be thinking, yeah, Caitlin, but other people know better. Yeah, that's true, but you know your business. You know what has worked because you've trialed and errored so many different things and it's gotten you to this point. So create an SOP and give the new hire that. Train them on how to do that. Once they've solidified the entire process of starting it and completing the process, what will happen is you can then give them leniency and ask them if they know a quicker way, a more efficient way, a more impactful way to do this, then do it. If you don't give them a clear expectation and a clear SOP, then they have no grounding with it, which means they can do lots of different things in lots of different ways. But an SOP is going to give you a clear strategy on what you do to complete the task. Another thing I've found is hiring people, a big mistake I've made, is they're more of the thinkers than the doers. I'm the thinker in the business. The business is built around me. That's how I've started this business. It might not end up being like this at one point, but right now I am the thinker in the business. I think about the strategy, I think about the growth, I think about the client. I need somebody to do the work. I don't need other people to think in the business like I do. Not at the moment. That doesn't help me grow. I need doers. And a great a tip for you, if you haven't already, I've got a video about the personality types. There's certain people who are more prone to thinkers, then there are more people who are actually prone to be doers. You want a combination of both in your business. If you've just got people in the business to think about it, no one's actually going to do the work. And equally, if you've just got people who are executing it but not thinking about short and long-term growth, that can also stagnate your growth. So have a think about this the next time you go to hire someone. And you know what? It's okay. It took me a while to be okay and accept the fact that I'd made a really big mistake with my hires, because I help people with hiring all the time. That's a massive component of leadership, is hiring the right person. And then I realized actually it's part of the process. We learn from the mistakes we've made, and I can't be perfect at hiring people because people change, evolve and grow, as do I, as do clients. So it's okay that you've made mistakes. We all have. Just forgive yourself and let it go and learn from it and move on. I once hired a project manager and I assumed they'd handle everything, but I didn't give them any clear instructions and they ended up way off track, missing critical deadlines that cost us both time and money. So I learned from that, and now I create SOPs and walk through new hires through them. So this simple step has transformed team performance and lets me focus on bigger picture tasks because I know the job's getting done and I have a reference point if they have questions. So mistake number 2, putting all my eggs in one basket. So there was a period of time where I'd pour all of my energy and effort into one client, one project, because I wanted to provide the best level of service, and I did provide the best level of service. But what happens is the project can't go on forever. So when the project finished, I'd find myself in a period of lag going, what's going on? And I hadn't worked on actually filling up my pipeline of clients. So it was a more streamed and steady flow. I would just put all my energy and effort into one client. They got incredible results. And then I'd be like, oh, the job's done. What do we do now? So once I literally dedicated an entire quarter to a single major client. So when the project ended, I had a gap with no work lined up, leading to financial distress. Now I balance multiple clients and keep a waiting list, which keeps my business steady and prevents the feast or famine cycle. So solution for you, if you're finding yourself putting all your effort and energy into one client, it's brilliant because you get really good feedback. But what happens, it's not sustainable, and it's very difficult to grow a business when you're only working with one client every single time. If you're working with just one client, boundaries is going to be really important, because boundaries help you create more time, and you need more time to grow more clients. So get crystal clear on what you're offering now and how you can buy back some of your time and not over service a client, and that's going to help you. So this is where you want to create a CRM system to help you have people at the top of the funnel and keep nurturing them so you'll have a steady flow of clients continuously. Mistake number 3, waiting way too long to launch my first course. Oh my God, this was a big one. I had my son and he was about 4 months old, and in the new journey of motherhood, I felt a huge sense of creativity like I never have before. And I know I have a wealth of knowledge and a wealth of skills and strategies that I want to provide to people, that I want to help people with, but I'd only ever worked one-on-one at this point. And honestly, I lacked the confidence to sell a course because to me it felt icky selling my expertise. 4 years later, and I have finally launched my first course. But it's taken me 4 years to get here because I thought, oh, I just need to get another certificate. I just need to learn a bit more. I just need to do this. I just need to get a bit more confident. And what happened is 4 years went by and it's always playing in the back of my head. And that's taking up mental and emotional space. And I was like, if I had just launched 4 years ago and it could have failed miserably, it doesn't matter. I would have learned from it and it wouldn't be playing in the back of my head like it's something I need to do. So now, 4 years later, and I've finally launched my first course, Prosperity Path. And it's all about growing your money, making a hell lot more money easily and simply. And I have had so much profound feedback from it. And I know that it's impactful and I know that it's helpful. And I could have had 4 years of people being able to be in my world at a lower price point, at a price that they could afford. And I could share my knowledge and wisdom with so many more people and they could have been in a better position. So if you haven't launched a course, or if you've got something in the back of your head, you're like, maybe I should just do this, maybe I should do that, but you're scared of failure. Failure is an acronym for first attempt in learning. So it's the first attempt in learning. There is no failure in business. There is just learning. And what happens is you just keep going. You just keep improving. You just keep better. And honestly, since I've launched it, I have learned so much about SEOs, about keywords, about descriptions. It's not just the course content. It's about how you sell it. It's about how you show up. So there's been so much that I have learned and how I've grown substantially in the last couple of months just by actually doing something I wanted to do 4 years ago. So the question I'm asking you now is, if not now, when? If not you, who? If not who? I think that's the saying. If you don't do it now, you might regret it. Just do it, and it's okay. You've got this. It's okay to feel a bit scared about it. We all do. So how to fix it? You want to take action before you're ready. So confidence, remember, confidence does come from doing, not waiting. So start with a beta launch if you need to, or a small test audience if you need to, but don't sit on your ideas. You'll learn more, so much more from launching and refining as you go than from waiting for the perfect time. Trust me on that. So if I had, looking back now, if I had launched that course earlier, I would have gained valuable feedback and made improvements a hell of a lot sooner. And I've learned that getting a rough version out there and iterating it is far more valuable than waiting for perfection. One of the reasons that I wasn't continuing with my course is because I believed that other people were better than me. I believed that no one's going to want to hear what I have to say. And it wasn't until I kept serving more and more people, and they're just like, you should write a book. You should create a course. This stuff's incredible. More people need to know this. I didn't know this. That I finally went, you know what? Maybe it is a good idea if I do start a course. Just do it. Just do it. Mistake 4, changing my offerings based on other people's opinions. Oh my God. So when my confidence was low, I'd literally take advice from everyone, even people outside my industry. If someone suggested to me changing my offering, I'd do it, hoping it would make my business more appealing. But what happened is people would say to me, change this, pivot this, move this, and I would be constantly changing my infrastructure to appease somebody else who never ended up purchasing what I had to offer anyway, because they weren't my ideal person. And honestly, they actually had no idea about my business. I am the expert of my business. So why was I taking somebody else's advice? It was because I had low confidence and no boundaries. So I was like, enough is enough. I'm changing this. And what happens is when you have an offering, but you keep changing it around, it's so hard for somebody to find you because you keep changing things all the time. Just stick with what you've got. You can do this. So how to fix it? Trust yourself and set boundaries. Design your offerings based on your expertise and the needs of your client, not just random opinions of people who want to give you an opinion and have no relevance to what you're doing. So once you've structured an offering, give it time to gain traction before making changes. Honestly, I would go in, one day I'd create the offering, the next day I'd wake up, nobody would have purchased it, so then I'd redesign it. And I'm just like, oh my God, people haven't seen it yet to buy it. A story of mine, I literally remember creating an entire course layout. Then I redid it because one potential client wanted a different approach. So then I changed everything and they still didn't buy. And I thought, what the putting all this time and effort into this, trying to make it perfect for one person who isn't even in my ideal client. So that experience did teach me the importance of standing by my vision. So now I stick to my offerings and attract clients who are aligned with my approach. So if you're someone who changes your offering or your approach to appease somebody else, just stand true to what you do, because that is going to move mountains more so than you trying to figure it all out and move it and change it for everybody else. Because honestly, when you know what you do and you do it well and you stick with it, people will come. Remember that. Mistake number 5, believing strategy alone was enough. Oh my God. So for years I thought success was all about strategy. You've got to have a strategy. You got to have a right strategy. You got to have a plan. So literally I would focus on structured plans without actually ever addressing my clients' mental or emotional needs. But I noticed that by the 3rd session, clients would start to cancel or push back sessions. And I realized, why is this? And honestly, I realized it was because they were hitting the emotional block. And I hadn't taught it to this stage, so I didn't know how to teach it. And honestly, growth requires us to step outside of our comfort zone. And fear does come along for the ride. It's your companion along getting outside your comfort zone. Fear's there with you. So I had learned the business strategy from banking when I worked there in my late teens. I learned exactly the strategy it takes to start a business, grow a business, scale a business. So I knew the step-by-step strategic approach. But it wasn't until I started my own business and then I actually started to understand In each strategic step, there's emotional and mental steps within that. There's tools that is helpful for clients to better understand how to navigate the emotions that they're going through, how to equip themselves to mentally allow themselves to move through the situation that they're in. But I would just thought strategy was the only thing people wanted to hear from me. So that's the only thing that I would actually ever teach and coach about. And I realized that I wasn't being truthful to what I really care about. I so genuinely care, and I love being able to help people strategically grow their business and say to them, right, you're about to uncover big growth, and with big growth comes an element of fear, comes an element of overwhelm. So what's going to happen is your brain's going to get to this and you're going to think all this and oh my God, I can't do it. You're going to look for excuses to stop. That is normal. And what you do with that is you make things very simple and structured, and you focus on one or two things every day, because the mantra, the thing you want to be doing is moving. You want to take action each and every day to move you through that moment of discomfort. So before, I would never said any of this. I just said, oh yeah, do this, you'll be fine. And then come back and go, I don't feel fine though. So now I'm like, actually, no, it's more holistic. There's more of it. There's more depth to it than just strategy. There's emotional resilience. There's emotional tools that we can use. There's mental clarity. There's mental tools. There's ways that you can enhance your brain so that you know that you've got this, you can do this. So that's why I integrate it now, but it took me so long. And I knew that this was something I wanted to do, but I was just too scared to do it. So how to fix it if this is you. Incorporate mindset work into your strategy, because growth isn't just structured, it's emotional too. By addressing both strategy and mindset, you'll help clients overcome internal blocks, making it easier for them to achieve sustainable results. And so for yourself, if you are like, my strategy is not working, what's happening? Know that there's emotions. When you're growing a business, emotionally you're growing, mentally you're growing. So it's all gonna start to intertwine and start to feel a bit weird and a bit funny, and it's perfectly normal. But what happens is when you complete this process and you keep going through this pattern, it gets easier and you're like, oh, okay, now I'm feeling fear. That means I'm growing. That means I'm in a good place. That means I can do this. And then you know what to do each and every time. So these mistakes, even painful, taught me that growth isn't linear. It's a series of lessons, pivots, and adjustments. Each one of these experiences pushed me to grow not just as a business owner, but as a leader. My hope is that sharing these lessons helps you avoid some of the struggles and move forward with confidence and clarity. What's the biggest lessons that you've learned in business? Let me know in the comments. And if you're ready for more strategies and lessons on growing with intention, make sure to subscribe. I'd love to keep sharing and learning together to your success.